Sarah, a tutor at Accountancy Learning, and in this video I'll take you through the AAT Level 3 Business Awareness Sample Paper 2 Task 4. So this task is all about ethical and legal compliance. In this task you will have an extract of the Code of Professional Ethics in the references on the right hand side of your exam screen. Let's have a look at the information we're given, and as we go through I'll highlight information that may help us with questions relating to ethical and legal compliance. You have been working for Lozano & Co LLP, a firm of accountants, and recently the following circumstances have been noticed with a client, Polly Willis Limited. Polly Willis Limited wants to have a full review of its financial statements completed before it gets its stock exchange listing. Polly Willis Limited has explained to Lozano & Co LLP that the review must state there are no problems with the accounts to get the listing. You have found some major errors in the accounts which overstate the profits of the business. Polly Willis Limited has said it will not change the accounts, and if you do not give it the review stating there are no problems with the accounts, then it will replace Lozano & Co LLP with a new accountant. You have discussed the matter with your manager, and it has been decided that Lozano & Co LLP will provide the requested unqualified audit report without any further adjustments to the accounts. So part A then is explain the threats arising in the situation above. So this accountants are under pressure because Polly Willis wants to get a stock exchange listing, and in order to do that they are saying that the accountants must state that there are no problems with the account to get the listing. However, we found some errors, and those errors overstate the profits of the business. So what's the threats then that have happened in this situation? So we can see that Polly Willis has said that they would replace them if the accountants don't do as they've asked. So the first threat would be that they would move accountants. So this is an intimidation threat. We've also got a threat to our objectivity, because Lozano's objectivity is threatened by the clients suggesting they will change audit firms. So it may be that because of this threat, the objectivity of the accountants may be called into question, because there's they're likely to be less objective because they've got this threat of the client leaving them. But we've also got that our professional behaviour is going to be threatened. And that's because if we were to provide this false information, so this not changing the accounts to give them the listing, then it means that we're not acting professionally. So therefore we would have a threat to our professional behaviour as well. Now the actual question has 2 marks available for it, so you'd only get a maximum of 2 marks. So you would get a mark if you selected 2 out of those 3. If you write all 3, you will still only get a maximum of 2 marks. Remember, in your exam, I'm just writing notes here, but in your exam do write in full sentences. The second part then is explain the actions which should be taken in response to the ethical issues arising in this situation. And we've got 3 marks available for this one. So we've got a client who is making threats to us that they're going to leave and that they want us to make sure that the accounts aren't changed and that the profit is overstated. So what we first of all need to do is make sure that we notify the client that they should correct the errors, and if they don't correct the errors, we should then, or the firm should resign. So we should cease to act for that client. We should be sure that we know that we won't be associated with false information. And it should be raised with a senior partner as well. Now, if as an accountant working for Lozano & Co, you are uncomfortable with what they are agreeing to, so if Lozano & Co agree to it, then as an accountant working at the firm, we should consider resigning from our post. Because we shouldn't be comfortable working for a company where they are happy to allow this to happen. Again, you'll only get 3 marks, so there's more than 3 points there. But the more points you can make without eating into your time in the exam, the more likely it is that you will pick up all the marks. You have been completing your AAT studies at college and you have received a telephone call from one of your classmates asking for your help and advice. They have had a situation develop at work and they are unsure what it means. In the conversation, your classmate explained the following. We have a client who is putting a large amount of cash through his business as sales of second-hand cars without any corresponding purchases of these cars. There is a rumour this client is involved in criminal activities. When you asked whether they had spoken to their manager at work about this, they replied, "My manager receives a cash bonus from this client for completing their accounts and said if I just ignore it and get them finalised, I will probably receive the same." So another situation here. And for this one, we need to provide an explanation to cover the offence which arises in this situation, the action your classmate should take, and what the consequences of not disclosing this information. So what are we going to tell our classmate then? So for the offence then, we need to be talking about money laundering. So in your answer, you would need to say money laundering is the criminal activity and what is being done is known as layering, which is a part of the money laundering process. Now the action, so what actions should we take? So we need to report this, so the classmate needs to report this following internal procedures and they need to report to the money laundering officer. The decision may also be taken to report to the National Crime Agency as well. And then the consequence, so let me write this one over here. So the consequence of not disclosing the information. So it could be that the accountant is guilty under the Proceeds of Crime Act if they don't disclose. So they must always disclose suspicion of money laundering. And they may also have disciplinary action. Oops. By their professional body. So for the offence, you've got 1 mark, 2 marks for the action and 1 mark for the consequence. So again, there's sort of more ideas there than there are marks. But again, the more you can put down, the more likely it is you will pick up the marks. And then the final part is state why they should not speak to the client about it before taking any action to report the behaviour. So this is a 1 mark question. It's quite a straightforward state question, so they're not looking for any explanation or description, and it would be simply that this would be tipping off. So that now brings us to the end of task 4.